All right, let's dive right in. We're going to unravel the absolutely epic story that's hidden inside a tiny, everyday object. This is all about the pebble in my pocket, a 480 million year story. I mean, just think about it for a second. The last time you saw a simple stone, maybe on a beach or just lying in a park. It seems so quiet, right? So unassuming. But what if it wasn't? What if this pebble could talk? Because, wow, if it could, it would tell you a story that's, get this, 480 million years long. I mean, that number is just huge. Let's try to put that in perspective. If you squished all of Earth's history into a single 24-hour day, our pebble was formed around 10 p.m. The dinosaurs, they wouldn't even show up for another hour. And all of human history, everything you've ever read about, that happens in the very last second before midnight. Crazy, right?
So this incredible journey is actually the whole point of a brilliant book by Meredith Hooper called, you guessed it, The Pebble in My Pocket. And the genius of it, really, is how it takes this gigantic, mind-boggling history of our planet and tells it all through the quote-unquote eyes of a single tiny stone.
The book puts it perfectly, saying the pebble is a tiny witness to all the big changes our planet has experienced. And just like that, it's not just a rock anymore, is it? It becomes the main character in this absolutely grand adventure. Okay, so where do you even start a story that's 480 million years old? Well, it begins with a fiery birth, an origin story full of incredible heat and pressure on an Earth that looked nothing like the one we know today.
Yeah, we've got to go back in time, and I mean way, way back, 480 million years ago. This is a concept that scientists call deep time, and it's a scale of history that's so vast, it's almost impossible for our brains to really truly wrap themselves around.
You know, our pebble didn't start out as this smooth little stone. Oh no, it began its life as molten rock, superheated magma, just churning deep inside the Earth's crust. And then, boom, it was violently blasted out of a volcano. Talk about a chaotic, fiery beginning on a raw, primordial planet.
So, after that violent birth, our little pebble starts this incredibly long journey through the ages. And this was not a boring existence, let me tell you. It was a story of constant change, of constant transformation, shaped and moved by the most powerful forces on the entire planet.
And the main force we're talking about here, it's erosion. You've probably heard of it, right? It's just the gradual wearing away of rock by things like wind and, this is the important part for our pebble, water. See, over millions and millions of years, it's erosion that takes a jagged piece of volcanic rock and turns it into that smooth stone we'd recognize today.
This timeline really shows you the incredible scale of its journey. I mean, look at this. It starts with that volcanic birth we talked about. Then, for literally millions of years, it's just being tumbled by water in oceans and rivers. It sits there silently through the entire age of dinosaurs. Then it gets trapped inside a massive glacier during the ice ages. And finally, it lands in the present day, where it's found by a girl and, well, put in her pocket.
Okay, let's just stop and think about that for a second. This very stone was there. It was buried in the soil or lying in a riverbed while these colossal creatures shook the ground. It existed in a world full of lush, tropical ferns and the sounds of animals we can only barely imagine. What an absolutely incredible thought.
And then came the ice ages. Our little pebble gets scooped up by a massive glacier. Can you just imagine that? Being frozen inside a river of ice that's miles thick, feeling that immense pressure, that slow, grinding crawl across the land. These glaciers were basically nature's bulldozers, completely reshaping continents and eventually dropping our pebble off hundreds of miles from where it even started.
But here's the thing. This story is so much more than just a cool adventure. The book actually uses the pebble to teach us some truly huge concepts about our world. It's really a masterclass in taking these giant ideas and putting them into a small, totally understandable package.
So what do we actually learn from a tiny stone? Well, it helps us wrap our heads around the vastness of deep time and the immense power of natural forces, like volcanoes and glaciers. It gives us a little window into how life on this planet has evolved. And maybe, just maybe the most important thing, it shows us the history that's hidden in ordinary, everyday objects, sparking a real sense of wonder about the world all around us.
So who's the genius mind behind this incredible story? Let's meet the author, Meredith Hooper. She's an Australian historian and writer who has this really special talent for making complicated science and history feel accessible and super engaging for everyone.
And when I say she's a writer, I mean she is prolific. Hooper has written over 70 books for both kids and adults. They cover everything from science and tech to Antarctic exploration, which really just shows her deep passion for explaining our world.
And you can totally see her unique method across all her work. She has this cool trick. She takes a huge, giant topic and tells its story through one small, focused lens. She did it with our pebble for Earth's history. She did it with a single drop of water in A Drop in My Drink. And she tackled massive subjects like the pyramids in that exact same, focused way. It's brilliant. And get this for a fascinating piece of trivia. Her storytelling instincts apparently extend all the way to Hollywood. See, her son is the director Tom Hooper, and it was actually Meredith who first suggested he should make the film The King's Speech, the one that went on to win the Oscar for Best Picture? Yeah, I'd say that was a pretty good suggestion.
Which kind of brings us full circle, right back to where we started. The real genius of the pebble in my pocket is how it encourages all of us to just look a little closer at the world around us. So the next time you pick up some seemingly ordinary object, a stone, a leaf, maybe a shell, just stop and ask yourself, what incredible story are you holding?